Hey guys, Awesome Soul here for a very, I don't know what to say. Anyways, it's certainly a video, and this is talking about the recent news that Robocraft is over. Robocraft is done. They are not going to work on it anymore. No more updates. And yeah, this happened. I think this was posted on Tuesday. It's currently Thursday at the moment. But yeah, this is, I don't know, I'm not really sure where to go with this video, but I figured it was interesting and kind of needed to get out there to get everyone else's opinions on this. I'm curious what everyone thinks about this. But yeah, so Robocraft is over, and they put a post up on the Robocraft experiment subreddit, just sort of detailing over this, and they go into a good amount of detail. I should have it linked in the description. I would recommend reading it for yourself. If not, just go to our Robocraft experiments, you'll find it there. But yeah, it just kind of happened out of nowhere. Just very weird. But in hindsight, it does make sense, just because, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows that Robocraft has been on the decline, player base wise, in Steam charts and all that, for quite a while now, and I guess it just finally got to a certain point. Now there are other things that they're like the studio is not over. Freejam is still going to be a studio. They're just done with Robocraft, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Just quickly going over my thoughts, I guess. Like I said, it's very weird, but in hindsight, it makes sense that this would happen eventually, but I don't know, it just never really crossed my mind that Robocraft would come to an end. I mean, it makes sense, but I just never actually thought about that until this post was made, and I thought that was kind of weird, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. I'm sure most people thought that it was going to end at some point, and of course, I don't know. Anyways, the point is, this is a big announcement, and it's very weird. I know that I haven't really played the game for quite a while, even before I made that video saying I was done with Robocraft, or at least the main version of Robocraft, because I'm still interested in the whole Robocraft experiment thing, which we'll be carrying on. Don't worry if you're interested in that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a sad day, I guess, a little while ago, but I wasn't really sure how to put my thoughts into words. This is a very off-the-cuff video, if you can't quite tell. But anyways, I think I'll go through the post they made and sort of highlight a couple of points, and we'll go from there. So they actually started out this post by saying that they have been getting a lot of people asking for them to return to Robocraft 2014. Sadly, though, it's not really possible. I believe another reason that they have given in the past, but they don't really talk about in this one, is something about contractors that they've hired on, and then when they left, something happened. I assume it has something to do with maybe they couldn't use their code, or they didn't know how to properly get into their code, because I think that was an issue. There's been a lot of things in the past. I'm just trying to remember. Well, it's not really too important there, but basically the gist is it's not really possible because a lot of the code no longer exists, or it's just not going to work with the current Robocraft. So the amount of time needed to essentially rebuild an entire game is not really all that worth it. Now, that's not to say they didn't consider this. They certainly didn't dismiss it, because they did say that they actually thought about doing this and building it from scratch, but in doing so, sort of like, I guess, going back to the drawing board and all that kind of stuff, they actually went way back to the drawing board and looked up what originally was going to be the case for Robocraft, what the original plan was. And I believe it was actually, they were planning on working with Disney, if I remember correctly. And this was supposed to be a fun little sandbox game. Basically what Robocraft Experiments is turning into. It's basically, they actually have posted footage of like this whole pre-released old Robocraft. I forget, I think it was called Cubotics? I might be misremembering that. But anyways, If I can find a link to it, I'll add that down in the description as well. But yeah, so for everyone that's saying that, oh, Robocraft Experiments is just a clone of X game, well, really, it's a clone of their old prototype. And it just so happens that a couple other games saw Robocraft and they're like, hey, let's make this a single-player game. And then they branched off into what, funnily enough, Robocraft originally was meant to be. But yeah, they're saying that as Robocraft developed, it was never just supposed to be a laser gun fighting game, and it was supposed to have physics involved. But I guess back then, one, the engine wasn't really all that powerful, and the team wasn't really all that big, so they could only do so much, and they focused on one aspect of the game, which was the shooting, gunplay, and building, but they couldn't really focus too much time on physics, and I guess as things carried on, they had built this other pillar up so high, and the physics pillar was so microscopic that trying to add physics to everything that they had built up on the other, fighting pillar, then, I don't know, it just wouldn't really work. But now, they have a brand new engine. This is an engine that no other developer has utilized yet. They're one of the first to use it, so this is for Robocraft Experiments, by the way. So I have faith in them to actually turn Robocraft Experiments into basically Robocraft 2, because going throughout this article, they do state that they do want to have a lot of actual gunplay, but also make it a physics-based game. So that's going to be really cool. Finally actually visualizing the dream that Robocraft was meant to be. And I think they might actually be able to pull it off, just mainly because they have a proper physics engine this time. They don't really have to build anything from the ground up. And another cool thing they bring up is that they sort of want to turn Robocraft Experiments, or whatever else they decide to call it in the future. I don't know if this is a permanent name or not, but that's beside the point. They do want to turn it into a, quote, game creator, and allowing anyone in the community to make games using a powerful block building engine. At least that's how they describe it. Though, obviously, it's still very early days. They don't even have a proper Steam page for Robocraft Experiments. You have to go to a secret link just to download it. So, I don't know, I wish them all the best for that. Hopefully that works out. I'm still probably going to cover Robocraft Experiments on the channel. Not that I cover much else these days, but I don't know. There's been a bit of a dry spell, and hopefully I can find something that will spark my interest in the future, and hopefully they put out more updates too. Now, of course, because of the main Robocraft game not getting support anymore, I don't believe it's getting shut down. I just think it's not getting any updates. For how long it's going to stay up, who knows? I don't think they actually specify that, but they are going to get minor bug fix updates. Possibly. But no new content, and nothing else. And obviously, because of that, sad to say that a decent chunk of the Freejam team has been downsized. They've been laid off. So my heart goes out to those people. Hopefully you can find somewhere else to work. And I don't know, just best of luck. And thank you for all your service in the game, for making it what it was. Obviously, Robocraft still means quite a bit to me, even though I don't really have much interest in playing it anymore. It's just, I don't know, I thank you for making such a fun and interesting game that held my interest for quite a while. 4 years, 5 years? Yeah, I put over 2,000 hours into that game, probably more. Yep, I just checked. 2,270 hours. I'm sure there are people out there with more than me, though. And also, in doing so, I also found Robocraft Royale in my Steam library, still sitting there and still installed. As flawed as that game was, I still enjoyed my time with it. There were certain aspects of it that were quite enjoyable, but for the most part, I don't think the traditional Robocraft gameplay translated all that well. There would have to be a lot of unique mechanics that they just didn't seem to want to implement. But yeah, the one thing I could say about it is, for whatever reason, I always fondly look back at the aerial combat. in that game. Just the fact that you could get in the sky made that game really unique. The ground combat was rather bland, but the aerial combat, very fun. A very cool aspect that not really any other Battle Royale, actually. I don't think any other Battle Royale at the time. Even to this day, actually no, I think Fortnite had like a plane minigame a while back. Anyway, but yeah, do you guys think Robocraft Royale could have been a good game if they kept going with it? Personally, I'm gonna have to say no. I think they cut it short at a good time. I don't think further developing that with the basic Robocraft framework would have worked. Now, that's not to say a vehicle-based battle royale couldn't work. I think it would be absolutely amazing and probably one of the most popular battle royales out there. It just has to be done right, and I have a good plan for how to do that right, but I don't have any of the skills. So, of course, maybe, I don't know, perhaps I might do a video on my ideas about that, but I don't know, I feel there is a good way to do it, and I think I have a pretty cool idea for one, but I don't know, Freejam, if you're out there and you want to make a vehicle-based battle royale independent of Robocraft, hit me up. I have some ideas. Anyway, but yeah, they continue with the article by saying that they want to keep Robocraft, Card Life, and Robocraft Xbox running as long as there are players who are still willing to play it. Now, they doesn't really say what exactly the minimum is for when they're going to cut it off, but I think it's probably going to last for a fair while longer. Also, side note, I think I might actually do a sort of a send-off stream, probably on Sunday, possibly. But just stay tuned on my Discord and Twitter. I'll keep you guys posted there if I have the time to do it. So far, it seems like I will be free, but just in case, you should follow me on those. I don't know why you're not following me on those. You should be following me on those. Discord, down in the description, and Twitter is there as well. Now, as I said before, they are going to be continuing to fix major bugs, but, again, no features. So, it isn't exactly stated outright, I don't think, going through this, but from the wording here, it also seems like Card Life is dropping support as well. There's going to be no more updates for Card Life, and that's a little sad. I mean, personally, I wasn't all that intrigued by the game, but I know there were a lot in the Robocraft community / Freejam community, if you want to even call it that, because Card Life is definitely not Robocraft. But there was sort of crossover just because the same developers are there. You get the idea. But yeah, I know there were a lot of people in the community that actually quite liked the game. So, a little sad to see that go as well. Major downsizing on this one. The one cool thing that I did really like about Card Life was the aesthetic and the character creator. That was very cool and very unique. However, past that, the gameplay was very derivative of other block games. It didn't really offer anything too special other than, hey, it's made of cardboard, which, I mean, was cool, but I think the whole cardboard aspect was mainly there just for the character creator, which, again, really awesome. One of my favorite features about the game, but past that, it was just, I don't know, it just seemed like slapped on to everything else, if that makes sense. Not that I'm trying to talk bad or talk down to any of the developers at all. I personally hate doing that, and I'm sure you've seen on my channel over the years, I always try and stay as positive as possible and try and look at it from the developer's perspective, which honestly I don't think enough people do. Most people just think of it from the player's perspective, and hey, I can't do this, why can't I do that? Well, if you think of it from a developer's perspective, you could probably figure out the reason. Anyways, I'm not gonna go into too much detail on that rant, but anyways. Let's see what else they have here. Yes, so original Robocraft players and Card Life players as well will be given a special status and benefits in Robocraft X once they continue development on that a bit more. So that'll be cool. Hopefully there is, hold on. Thought of the day here. What if, you know how there's the cool little astronaut avatar in the game? What if you were a Robocraft player, you could unlock Cray as the avatar, and if you were a Card Life player, you could unlock the basic cardboard avatar from that game as well. That would be really cool. Now, hopefully, Freejam has learned from their mistakes in the past, and or basically, what I'm trying to get at here, in this very off-the-cuff video, is they need to make these exclusives for, Robocraft and Card Life players exclusives. They need to state outright that these are permanent exclusives, and not just say, hey, they're exclusives, and then a year later they say, actually, by the way, it was only exclusive for a year or so. I'm sure Robocraft and Freejam have learned from their mistakes, and that rather large player outrage at a mistake they made in the past will not happen again, but we'll see. Now, I don't think it's going to happen again, just because, just in theory, with Robocraft experiments continuing on down the line, eventually support for Card Life and Robocraft will completely end, and they'll become a thing of the past. So new players aren't really going to be interested in Robocraft and Card Life, but for those older players who know about that and have fond memories, having those kind of avatars in the game to use would be pretty cool, but they wouldn't necessarily be sought over in the same way other things would be sought over. You kind of catch my drift, kind of get where I'm going with that? I don't know, but we'll see. Again, that is just speculation, though. They don't outright say in this article that they're going to get avatars, they just say they're going to get something cool. Just making sure that's clear. And they close this out by saying, everyone at Freejam massively appreciates all the support you have given us over the years. We are looking to repay that dedication with a very special future Robocraft, which we hope many of you will grow to see as a very special game that you have all played a part in creating. Of course, the future Robocraft is referring to Robocraft Experiments, sort of leading to the idea that maybe it's just a placeholder title, but again, we'll see. I mean, they could just call it Robocraft 2. Maybe? Anyway. So yeah, that is the end of Robocraft and a new beginning for a brand new Robocraft. Robocraft 2, or Robocraft X, or Robocraft Experiments, whatever you want to call it, it is going to be closer to the original idea for Robocraft, what they had originally planned, and then some. Because it seems like they're meshing the original game that they had pitched to Disney back in the day, which was just a single-player, physics-based block game, and then what Robocraft turned into, which was an arena shooter, builder vehicle game. And they're kind of bringing those two ideas together to make something cool and unique. Can they deliver on these promises? I certainly hope so. They seem to have learned quite a bit, and I don't know, I'm rooting for them, personally. I wish them all the best, and again, I just want to say thank you, Freejam. To anybody watching, I really appreciate all of the work you've put into Robocraft. It has been one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't know, obviously this channel wouldn't even really be here without Robocraft. You had managed to make a very special game that held my interest for quite a long time, but, not just me, everyone else. It touched a lot of people. It was a very special game, and, at one point, it was, I believe, the 5th most played game on Steam. Period. Not just indie games, but all games. And from a small indie studio, that says a lot. So, once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Freejam. And to all the Freejam developers, past and present, I wish you all the best going forward, and good luck. Anyway, what do you guys think, though? Do you have any cool Robocraft stories to share from the past, or really any other input? I'd love to hear everybody's comments down below. But with that, I, of course, have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you all so very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.